Alright, so we're going to practice using the slope-intercept form of linear equations to graph a couple of linear equations. And these are the guys we're going to graph here in a second. These are not in the slope-intercept form yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange these so that they look something like this. So that they're in the slope-intercept form. And what that'll allow us to do is to immediately identify what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. So what this means is what we have here for the slope-intercept form is we've got y over by itself on one side of the equation, and y is the dependent variable or the output variable. You plug x in, you get y out. So y is going to be by itself, and then we're going to have something times x, and we call it something m, and that represents the slope. So whatever, if it's 2x, the slope will be 2. If it's 8x, the slope will be 8. And then plus some constant, some number. And that number is the y-coordinate of where the line crosses the y-axis. All right, so let's do this. Let's convert these guys. All right, so what we want y by itself on the left side, and then we want everything else on the right side. So here we've got a bunch of stuff that's not y. So let's start getting rid of that. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. So gone. So what we have left is negative 3y is equal to 9 minus 6x. Now, I'm going to rewrite this as 9 plus negative 6x, which allow me, it doesn't matter the order in which you add things together. So this is going to allow me to just flip the order around. So what we'll have actually is negative 3y is equal to negative 6x plus 9. That's what we have so far. And I did that because I want the x, I want the x on the left here, and then the rest of the stuff on the right. So subtracted 6x from both sides. So this side becomes 9 minus 6x, which we can rearrange to say negative 6x plus 9. All right, last up, divide by negative 3 to get y by itself. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. 1 times y is just y. So now we have y by itself. Okay, now we need to divide each of these terms by negative 3. So negative 6x divided by negative 3. The negatives cancel out. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So negative 6x divided by negative 3 is just 2x. Okay. Plus 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And I'm going to leave that as plus negative 3 instead of just 2x minus 3 because this is the slope-intercept form, mx plus b. So I wanted to say plus something. Now I know that b in this case is negative 3. Alright? So this is the y-intercept. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's start with that. That's a definite point on the line, negative 3. So I'm going to call these lines, each one will represent one unit. So that's my scale. So, okay, so negative 3 would be 1, 2, 3. That's the y-intercept. That's where it crosses. So that's negative 3. Now let's use the slope to figure out another point on the line. All we need is 2 points on the line. Then we can connect them. We're done. Alright? So the slope is 2, which I would like to rewrite as 2 over 1. Same thing, right? 2 divided by 1 is 2. The slope is the change in y. Delta just means change over the change in x. So what this means is if you so basically if you go over 1, which is a positive increase in x of 1, the change in x is 1. So I'm going over 1. That means I have a positive change of y of 2. So I go over 1 up 2. Over 1 up 2. So I start with a point. I know that the next point has to be over 1 and up 2. I could also look at this. This would be the same as -2 over -1, right? So I could say I go to the left 1, and that's negative that's -1 in the x on the x-axis, or -1 in the along the x-axis, and then I go down 2. You know, so, so that's enough information. Even just 2 points would be enough information to graph it. It's gonna be something like that. Put an arrow on the end. Let's make that orange. Okay, something like that. I didn't line that exactly right, but yeah, 2 points. Connect them. Boom, done. So let's do one more. Let's do one more. Try to fit it down here. Let's make that. Let's do this in green. Okay. So we want to get y by itself. Wow, this is pretty much already done for us. All we need to do is divide both sides by 2, right? So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 1, or 1 times y is y. So if I divide that side by 2, all that's left is y. 10x divided by 2 is 5x. And then -8 divided by 2 is -4. So I'm going to write this actually as plus -4. So now we've got it in the form of y equals mx plus b. M is 5, b is -4. This is a pretty similar equation. I should have done something a little bit different. Oh well. So let's start with our y-intercept. -4 is our y-intercept. That's what b means. That's where this line crosses the y-axis. So we're going to pick a point at 1. So -1, -2, -3, -4. Yeah, a little clash here. Okay, and the slope is 5, which, to clarify things, I'm going to write as 5 over 1. Actually, to make it visible, I'm going to write it as 5 over 1. So that means the change, we've got, for every positive change of 1 along the x-axis, we're going to go up 5. So we'll start with that point that we plotted. So we go over 1 and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we can connect our 2 points. I apologize that these are clashing and crashing so much. That's kind of annoying. You will have that. So we just connect the 2 points. Bada bing, bada boom. I get annoyed when people say that. Sorry, I just said that. Connect the 2 points. Boom. We're done. So the steps are: rearrange your linear equation so it looks like this. Y is by itself equals something times x plus something. This something will be your slope, which is the change in y over change in x. And then, just think of it, the steepness of the line. And then this something is the y-intercept, which is where the line crosses the y-axis. So what you do is you start with, once you get in that form, you plot your point, because you know where the y-intercept is. You plot that point. Whatever this y-intercept is, put the point on the y-axis at that value. And then, using your slope, plot another point using the first point as your starting point. That was a lot of points in a row. Use that first point and then follow the slope. So if it's 3 over 2, you go over 2, up 3, plot your next point, connect the 2 points, boom, you're done. You can go have a sandwich. All right, take care.